I'd like to move on to our next speaker. She's proficient in interpreting and translating written documents to and from English, Urdu, Punjabi, Mirpuri, and Hindi, no less, and has a deep understanding of the cultural implications of these languages. Throughout her career, she's had the opportunity to interpret for several high-level individuals and events. And I'm going to hand over to her to share her amazing experiences with you. Welcome, Amina Saif.
Hello, everybody. This is Amina Saif. I welcome you all on this online conference, and it's a great honor to join this great event and speak briefly about my life journey. I also have a presentation, if somebody can share that. Yes, that's good. Okay, so next slide, please. Yes, so welcome to the online conference, and can I have the next slide? Thank you. So this is going to be the content of my presentation. I'll go through them briefly and slowly and surely. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is me. I'm Amina Saif. I'm an internationally acclaimed, highly accomplished interpreter and translator with a proven history of success and in providing simultaneous interpreting and translation services. I'm highly skilled in interpreting and translating written documents to and from English, Urdu, Punjabi, Mirpuri, and Hindi while understanding the nuances and cultural implications of languages. Next slide, please. So now we will see that what is International Mother Language Day. So this was established by UNESCO in 1999, and this day is celebrated each year on the 21st of February. This day aims to promote linguistic and cultural diversity and multilingualism. This day honors the memory of the language movement in Bangladesh, which took place on February 21st, 1952. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we will see, we will look at the importance of linguists and the mother language. So who are linguists and what do they do? As you all know, that linguist is a person who is skilled in foreign languages and they help bridge the language barriers. Linguists play a very important role in the society. Linguists help to communicate effectively between the client and then the non-English speaker or their customer. Mother language is the first language that a child learns, and it plays a critical role in their social development. Mother language connects individuals to cultural heritage, identity, and community. Mother language is the foundation of learning additional languages and contributes diversity and preservation. Here I would like to say that we should all be proud of our mother tongues. It's only because of my mother tongue where I am today. I'm going to tell you what all I have achieved, a little bit later. But we must always encourage the young generation, the young people, that they must always use their mother tongue and be proud of using it. Next slide, please. So now we will look at language endangerment. So what is the issue of language endangerment and its causes? Language endangerment refers to the situation where a language is at risk of falling out of use and eventually becoming extinct. According to UNESCO, more than half of the world's 7,000 languages are currently endangered or at risk of becoming so. Language endangerment can be caused by a number of factors, including political and economic domination by a more powerful language, and highlighting the roles of linguists in documenting endangered languages and working with communities to revitalize them. Next slide, please. So now we will look at the cultural preservation, the importance of language to culture and identity. Language is essential to the expression of culture as a means of communicating values, beliefs, and customs. It has an important social function and fosters feelings of group identity and solidarity. It is the means by which culture and its traditions and shared values may be conveyed and preserved. And how linguists can help preserve and promote cultural heritage through language documentation and revitalization. Linguists can document endangered or underdocumented languages through field work and language documentation techniques, such as they can record speeches, create dictionaries and grammars. Linguists can work with communities to promote, languages, and also they can involve to develop language teaching materials, organizing language classes and programs. Next slide, please. So now we will see the current status of mother language. So globally, 40% of the population does not have access to an education in a language that they speak or understand. Here I'll give an example that if a person speaks a specific language, sometimes that language is not provided when children go to school or they go to college. So this is what I mean by this point. Many mother languages are endangered or at risk of completely disappearing. The loss of mother language can lead to loss of cultural heritage and diversity, as you can all understand. And language revitalization efforts are needed to preserve and promote mother languages. This is why I said that we must encourage our children within the community to speak our mother tongue and to be proud of it. Next slide, please. So what happens when we are celebrating linguistic diversity? Celebrating mother languages promote linguistic and cultural diversity and encourages the preservation of languages. Learning and speaking multiple languages promote cognitive and social benefits. Encouraging language education and learning supports linguistic diversity and preservation. Next slide, please. Now we will look briefly into the economic benefits of language, and I will go through them one by one. So greater cultural understanding. When people speak different languages, it can lead to greater cultural understanding and deeper appreciation of their cultures. This can create opportunities for businesses to expand into new markets and partnership with businesses in other countries. Increased innovation. Linguistic diversity can bring different perspectives and approaches to problem solving, leading to increased innovation and creativity. This can result in the development of new products and services which can contribute to the economic growth. Improved communication. When people can communicate in multiple languages, it can lead to improved communication and collaboration in the global markets. This can result in more efficient and effective business operations, as well as improved relationships between different, business partners. Language service industry. So linguistic diversity has also given rise to the language service industry, which includes translation, interpretation. This industry provides employment opportunities and it generates revenue for businesses and governments. Language education. Teaching different languages can create employment opportunities in the education sector. Additionally, multilingual individuals may be better positioned for global job opportunities, which can contribute to economic growth. So overall, linguistic diversity can contribute to economic growth and provides numerous economic benefits, particularly in an increasing interconnected and globalized world. Next slide, please. Okay, so here everybody is. Let's have a brief look at my journey as a linguist. Next slide, please. So here's how my journey began. I got married in late 90s, got married, had children when I was very young. I thought, this was it. I'll be a mother, a homemaker, and a wife. And what I will be doing the rest of my life was just to look after my family. But sometimes things don't remain the same. And in the year 2000, I moved to the UK with my husband, as he is a bank manager and he got transferred to Manchester. And I moved with my two little children, with him. When I came here, I was culturally very isolated. It was a culture shock for me. I was very young. I come from a very well-protected family. My parents were not there. I didn't have any family, no friends. Then slowly and surely, I interacted with people, and one of my friends encouraged me to go ahead and, because I had a good, understanding and good knowledge of English, as I went to a convent school in Pakistan. So she told me to do this 5-week course in interpreting. I did that, and then I started interpreting in small gigs and, like health surgeries and all. That really inspired me. I liked the line of work. And then I went ahead and I did the certificate in bilingual skills. It's quite a difficult exam because it's got 8 parts. To my surprise, I got the best candidate in the country for this exam. I was invited by Prince Michael of Kent, who is the royal patron of the Institute of Linguists, to London. There comes the letter through the post box. And when I open it, oh my God, I'm going to London to meet the prince. Oh my God, I was so excited. This was the first stepping stone, I could not have imagined that I was so capable. At that point, I realized I am capable and I can go ahead and I can fulfill my dreams. After that, I went ahead and in 2004, I did my diploma in public service interpreting, which is a level 6 degree level course. I was, I just did that exam with flying colors. I passed. And then by 2004, I was a professional interpreter. So things did not stop there. They went on going ahead. In 2010, I became a Justice of Peace. I'm very proud to say, and I am extremely proud of myself. And to be honest, my father is very, very proud of me because there are very less South Asian women coming from India or Pakistan who could become magistrates. You have to go through a very intense process to be recruited, and I did it. And today, after 12 years, I'm still sitting in 3 courts in Hertfordshire. Next slide, please. So from starting as a housewife to equipping myself with new skills and winning gold medals to interpreting for various world leaders and Prime Minister, this is Amina, and indeed, I have come a long way. Next slide, please. These are my big wins. I have interpreted for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and the Prime Ministers of G7 summit in Carbis Bay, Cornwall in June 2021. I have interpreted for 4 UK Prime Ministers, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, the President of EU Commission. I have interpreted for Al Jazeera Television, Indian Prime Minister Modi during the COVID-19 pandemic, executed interpreter responsibilities for Skoda conferences in Spain and Prague, Al Jazeera Television coverage of the Indian elections and for Pakistani election, interpreted for COP26 in Glasgow, and I'm still going strong. Next slide, please. Here I am to get my award from, Prince Michael of Kent. That was in 2002. And I was the top performer at the Institute of Linguists UK interpreting exam. I won seven distinctions. Next slide, please. Here I am on Britain's Got Talent, The Champions. In July 2019, I officially interpreted on live television for an act as Britain's Got Talent, The Champions edition, and shared the stage with the judges. It was the most, awesome experience because I had never been on live television, and it was a great honor for me, and I've really enjoyed it. Next slide, please. So I have interpreted for several world leaders. Here I am sitting with Theresa May and Prime Minister Modi at the 10 Downing Street. It was a big honor for me that I was selected, from the Foreign Office selected me to go here and interpret for both the Prime Ministers, and I'm very proud of this. Thank you. And next slide, please. So, and I have been sitting as a Justice of Peace for the last 12 years, and I'm still doing that public sector work. Next slide, please. Here I am in December 2022, interpreted simultaneously in Hindi for Red Sea International Film Festival in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It was a big honor because I was selected, one of the Hindi interpreters to do this great job, and I had an awesome time, and it was a great event. Next slide, please. So here is the conclusion that I derive from today. The disappearance of mother language has been declared a great loss by UNESCO. Linguistic diversity increasingly threatened as more and more languages disappear. UNESCO is now urging governments to embrace multilingual education based on mother tongue from the earliest years of schooling. Its strong evidence has shown that learning in first language or your mother tongue education improves children's social skills. Governments of several countries are now gathering data on languages within their regions that are disappearing or are threatened with extinction to preserve and revitalize them. Next slide, please. Any questions? I would be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Amina Saif, thank you very much. And may I say, what an inspirational journey that you have had. It is so inspiring, and you know, a huge congratulations on your success. And you've also delved in my world, the world of television broadcast. So I know how exciting that can be. So seriously, well done. And if we have any questions for Amina, please do raise your digital hand. Let me just remind you where you can find that. If you just hover your mouse over the screen, over the Zoom screen, at the bottom, there's an icon for reactions. It's a small smiley face. If you click onto that, it'll say raise hand. And you can, you know, if you can do that now, that will be great. Amina, I have some questions for you, if I may.
Sure.
So, you know, you talked about languages being lost through them not being spoken in the home. Now, my parents are immigrants to this country. They're from Pakistan as well. And what I've discovered is I'm really grateful that my parents, I grew up in a multilingual home, you know, but what I've discovered is other friends that I have that come from, you know, South Asia, some of their parents they didn't feel the need as immigrants. They were more focused on their children speaking the local language to get ahead, you know, to be successful in education and therefore, you know, with their careers. So what's been interesting for me, you know, listening to you is I've reflected back on the friends that I have that don't speak their mother language, and how they've actually, as adults, have become a little bit excluded. So also, you know, you talked about economics. Pakistan, there's been a lot of economic opportunity for migrants in this country to actually go back. But if you don't have that connection with the language, that can pose as a barrier. So my question to you is, you know, for languages that are less pervasive, as say Urdu or Punjabi, you know, what is the responsibility of parents to ensure longevity of that through speaking it in the home?
Yes, you know, I personally feel it's very important for your child to know your culture, the language, and that can only be done by parents if they reinforce the language, you know. It's not, I think not only speaking, but also children should be encouraged to, you know, to write the language as well, because I have seen in several languages like Chinese, people actually send their children on the weekend to the Chinese school. And some, you know, some other languages as well. I think that for Urdu and Punjabi, because in Pakistan, everybody feels that if you can't speak English, then you feel ashamed. It's like a shame you know, for you. So even when my children used to go back to Pakistan and, you know, go and see their cousins, nobody used to speak Urdu. The cousins living in Pakistan, they all wanted to improve their English. So I think the culture should change, the mindset should change, and people should encourage. And this is the only way that if we speak the language in the home, and there should be strict rules that when children come home from school, yes, they will learn English because they go to schools here and they interact with friends in English. But when they come home, it should be a very strict, you know, kind of thing at home, that they have to, you know, communicate in a language that is your mother tongue, because this is the only way that we can keep our mother tongue alive. Otherwise, it will just, you know, the next generation, it will be gone, you know. Honestly, this is how I feel.
No, and I've been I've seen firsthand. I've experienced that. That's why I posed the question to you. And second, I would just like to come to the point about, you mentioned government, and you talked about how it can contribute, you know, like keeping languages, preserving languages, to economics. So it's really encouraging what you said, that, you know, as a result of what UNESCO are trying to do, certain governments are taking on and doing the data analysis. They're compiling that data. However, what do you think are real tangible steps governments can take to ensure, and it can be governments anywhere around the world, because there are, you know, endangered languages globally, what kind of steps, tangible steps can they take to ensure, again, longevity of those languages?
I think coming to that, it really depends on the, you know, governments. The best thing would be that they can, children who come from a specific cultural background and the language that they speak, they should be offered those languages in schools. Because don't forget, the languages start establishing and children start learning languages at a very young age. The more they are left, I think the more they will just fall behind. So I personally believe that it's very important for governments to make those provisions. But having said that, that governments are cutting on everything. They are never going to cut, give funding for languages. There are only very few languages that are offered. And I think that is in, if I'm not wrong, GCSE's level, that children do Urdu and, Punjabi and other languages. So governments should, as a matter of principle, they should try and encourage the mother tongues, and keeping in mind the specific cultures that children belong to. But looking after the pandemic and looking at the financial crisis, I don't think so that is going to be possible.
Yeah, Amina, you make a very critical point, balancing the needs of communities with the finances of the country. It's a challenging environment for the government, and a challenging thing to do. And also it's about the will. It's the will of governments. Do they have the will to do that? But Amina Saif, may I say, it's been a real pleasure to have you, and thank you for your presentation. Very interesting presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.